We are back, baby. Too many men in the huddle with yours truly, Cheech. Shay is not available tonight. He has a lot going on in his personal life. He's taking the day off. He'll be back later in the week when we give our picks. But for now, you're stuck with Cheech for the time being for tonight's episode. And we're live, by the way, on October 20th. So when we upload this, it'll probably be the 21st of October. So we got a lot to get into today. There's our top 10, of course, after week 6 of the NFL season. We got to get into the NFC Least, as I like to call it, because that division is just as phony as a $3 bill. And we're going to start today, though, with contenders and pretenders in the NFL season. The way I like to do this is there's a lot of teams with good records out there, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to list teams that are above 500, and I'm going to say whether they are a contender in the NFL for the postseason or if they're a pretender and they're just going to not even make it, finished, 8-8 and draft midway through the round, as my Vikings usually do. So we're going to start the Chicago Bears. They're 5-1. You see the surface, and it seems like, wow, this team is very good. They beat Tampa Bay. They beat Tom Brady. And they're 5-1. That's an absolute contender, right? I'm saying absolutely wrong. They're the most fluke 5-1 team that I think I've ever seen. But we see this a lot, and I want to reference other teams that we've seen this with. If you guys recall, the Minnesota Vikings in 2016 started out 5-0, and then they fell flat and they finished 8-8. The 2015 Atlanta Falcons started 5-0, finished flat, end of the season 8-8. And I meant the 2016 Minnesota Vikings. I'm not sure if I said the 2015. I'm not buying into this team. I don't care how low the stocks are with the Bears. They're ninth in points against their defenses, and their scoring is 25th in the league. Just for reference, the New England Patriots are third in points against and 22nd in points per game, and they have a 2-3 record. And that is exactly what the Bears should have. They got their wins fluky, especially that one against Detroit. We all know they should have lost that game. And the other games that they won is not impressive whatsoever. You look at the surface and you look at how they won these games and how much they won by. And we dive into that right now. And we see that their point differential is plus 12. Plus 12. They're in first place of the NFC North. Their point differential is plus 12. The other division leaders, right? Seattle, Tampa Bay, plus 34, plus 55. So what this tells me is they do not beat teams by a large margin at all. And when they lose that one game that they lost, they kind of got blown out. It was an 8-point game. I'm not a buyer or a believer in this Bears team. I never was. I love Coach Matt Nagy. Aside from that, this team is an absolute pretender. And I know Shay, once he watches this, he's going to be disgusted with me because, hint, hint, I don't even have him in my top 10, Shay. So they're an absolute pretender for me. Next one on the slate, the Indianapolis Colts. Are they a contender or a pretender at 4-2? I'm going to say pretender. And here's why I say the Colts are a pretender. What is their identity? When you look at this team, what do you expect from them? What do you want to see? What do you think of when you think of the Indianapolis Colts? I think of an old quarterback. That's the first thought that pops into your head is usually your gut instinct, and it usually is correct more often than not. As soon as you think of the Colts, old quarterback turns the ball over, immobile. And that's exactly what they are, right? They were down 21-0 against Cincinnati. Yes, they won the game, but the whole point is you should have never let yourself get into that, point in the first place. Rivers had another interception on Sunday, 6 interceptions in as many games as he's played. The defense is good, slim to no offense, though. This division is going to be one of the toughest ones in the AFC with those Titans, man. I think that they might be a playoff team, but you lost to the helpless Jaguars. I just don't understand what they're going for, who they are, how they're going to be especially when playoff time comes or week 14, 15, 16. When those weeks come, I'm not too sure what kind of team I'm going to be getting. The Cleveland Browns, are they a contender or pretender? I was very high on them coming into last week before they just got absolutely annihilated by the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was very high on the Browns. I said they were going to be a playoff team before the season started. As of right now, I am saying that they are a pretender. I'm off the bandwagon, and it took one bad beat for me to get off the bandwagon. Uh, these are the kind of games, if you're an actual contender and you are an actual good football team, these are the kind of games that should be close, you should win, or at the very least, give a good game at. They were over three in all those categories. Their loss, their losses are so significant that even though they are um, a good standing, a good record at 4-2. They only have a 24-point differential in the entire season. 63 negative 63-point differential in both of their losses against two division teams, against two teams that are Super Bowl contenders, the Ravens and the Steelers. When you lose into 63 by 63 points on those two games, that's saying you can't compete, you can't contend, you're not involved with the big boys, Cleveland. And I think that's what you are. You're not a big boy yet. Their losses impact the team a lot because of this point differential. As you can see, when they lose, they lose. They don't just, oh man, you kind of almost got it there, guys. Maybe next time. They get blown out, and it's not a good look. The Buffalo Bills, a contender or a pretender? I'm not off the Buffalo bandwagon yet. They're an absolute contender, and here's why. They lost to the two best teams in the AFC in back-to-back weeks. Okay, let's pump the brakes. Josh Allen is still a very good quarterback. The Buffalo defense, I'm not sure what they're going for, who they are. Tre'Davious White was one of the best man cover corners last year. Now he's kind of nowhere to be found. I don't get it. I think Sean McDermott is such a fabulous head coach. He's taking the ball and he's putting it into Josh Allen's hands. He's getting rid of it in the defensive side. He's putting the ball on the offensive side into Allen's hands, and he's telling Allen, win the game for us. It's worked up until these past two games. I think McDermott just needs to focus a little bit more on the defense because you see, if you put the ball into Allen's hands, he wins for you, but he has a ceiling. He can't win those really good games against those really tough teams. He's going to have a problem. Put the ball onto the defense's hands, see where they get you, have Allen manage the game, just like they're doing with Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. When you ask Baker to throw too much, it fails. When you ask Allen to throw too much, it might fail. Go back to what you know, Buffalo. You're still a contender. New England Patriots. I have them as a contender at 2-3. You know, it's the first time that the New England Patriots are under 500 through 5 games of the season since 2003. It's quite the dynasty. They have why they're okay, and my biggest reason of why they're okay is because their turnover margin is indifferent. Okay, they have no plus nor minus. They just control the football. They don't turn it over, and they don't cause turnovers. It's just completely indifferent. It's plus minus zero. Okay, as long as you control the football, you will be okay, and that is what the Patriots are trying to show you. Okay, they don't have Tom Brady. They don't have the dynasty that they had for the last 20 years. But guess what? They have a quarterback in Cam Newton that could get you to the destined land because he already got him, the Panthers there once. That guy could do it. Just rely on your defense and offense to not turn the ball over. And that's exactly what they're doing. 2 out of the 3 losses for the Patriots came by one possession. And the loss that they had to Kansas City by 16 was with Cam Newton not playing. It was actually Brian Hoyer. Kind of weird because I expected the other quarterback to be starting. Drawing a blank on his name for a second. Come back to me. Kind of expecting him to be starting instead of Hoyer, Jared Stidham, but he didn't. So I think if Cam were there, he would have made a way better game out of it. Probably, maybe would have won. Not, I don't want to put any words in uh, that are untrue, but he would have made a better game out of it. This wild card spot, there's 7 spots now. It's up for grabs. They're not as big as of a contender as they were with Brady, but just relax, New England. You guys will be in the playoffs as long as you control the football. The Las Vegas Raiders. Um, I have them as a pretender. I know a lot of people disagree with me. Look, every year you have that team that kind of pops out of nowhere. Okay, last year the Titans came out of nowhere. They popped and they got all the way to the AFC playoffs, AFC Championship game. Right. A couple years ago, you had the Minnesota Vikings with Case Keenum just popped their way into the NFC Championship game. Nowhere near since, right? So this year, a lot of people are expecting the Raiders to just be that pop team and just, make the playoffs with Gruden, good offense, Derek Carr. He only turned the ball over 1 time so far this year, which is good. But what's not good and why I have them as a pretender is they have 6 fumbles, all lost. They're 28th in turnover differential at -4. Just for reference, the teams that are worse than the Raiders are Houston. They're 1-5. The Vikings, they're 1-5. Philly, who also has 1 win. Dallas, who has 2 wins. So all those teams are worse than Las Vegas in a turnover differential. And all those teams, if it wasn't for the NFC least, as I like to call it, would not even be contenders. So that just kind of shows what Las Vegas is. That's kind of their identity right now. As long if they could turn it around and I see something different after the bye and they could control the football a little better, I might put them on a contender. But as of right now, they're a pretender for me. That's just massive. You have to be able to control the football. This is an interesting one. The Arizona Cardinals. I have them as a contender. They're plus 54 in point differential. It's good enough for second best in the NFC, right behind the Bucs by a point. The Bucs are plus 55. The Cardinals are plus 54. They are also indifferent in point differential. They don't have any more turnovers than turnovers that they get on defense. Everything is even. 5th in points against, 8th in sacks. What does that tell you? Their defense is very good. Watch out for this Cardinals team. They only lost 1 fumble, and it was by Kyler Murray. As long as he could control the ball, you guys will be just fine. Kyler, control it. You'll be good. And the last one that I have uh, are the Los Angeles Rams. And I'm telling you right now, they are an absolute contender. Pump the brakes on what happened last year. They still finished over 500 last year at 9-7. My Vikings just snuck in a little before them. Look, there's 7 spots in the wild card seating now. They'll at least get the 7th spot. They finished all their seasons above 500 with McVay and with Goff. McVay and Goff both started together. They lost both games by 1 possession this year. They're going to be just fine. Pump the brakes. Los Angeles Rams are a contender. I want to segue into this. Now, as you know, a lot of you, I love to just dag on the NFC least, as I like to call it, because it's an atrocious division. You're going to have a team in the NFC East that's going to get a home playoff game over the Niners, who are at 500 now, the Cardinals, who are above 500, and that division is absolute, and the Rams, who are also over 500. The NFC West is completely loaded. One of those teams will not make the playoffs, and then you have a team in the NFC least that will make the playoffs. And it's kind of mind-boggling to me. And I want to just say, out of all the teams, who would you pick to win the division? And a lot of people just automatically point Dallas. Dallas is going to win the division because they have the weapons. I'm looking at Dallas right now, and to me, it looks like a complete rebuild. Okay. And I know Shay disagrees with me on this, but I want to just let you guys see what I see and let me know if I'm wrong. It's great. Please tell me. Okay. Outside of Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, and Amari Cooper, and Zeke, which is a turnover machine right now. Outside of those offensive playmakers, name one player on defense that is actually making plays. You could say DeMarcus Lawrence, is he really making plays, or did just Jerry just pay him to not make plays? Because that's what it seems like right now. It doesn't look like Dallas has an identity. What Jerry Jones goes for is the sexy pick, right? They go for CeeDee Lamb in the draft. Do they really need a CeeDee Lamb, or did they need another offensive lineman? Zach Martin just got hurt. A lot of their offensive line is banged up. I just don't see where this team is going. Dallas, they're very funny. And I heard this on the Colin Cowherd show earlier today. It reminds me of an iconic brand, right? You look at the Dallas logo and you automatically think, wow, that team is good, but they're not. Do you know the Dallas Cowboys have not been to the NFC Championship game in 25 years? 25 years. I had to stop and think about that and say, no way. What other teams have not gone to a championship game within the past 25 years? And it's the teams that we make fun of. It's the teams we make fun of. These are the teams: the Cincinnati Bengals, the Cleveland Browns, the Washington Football Team, Miami Dolphins, the Detroit Lions, and the Buffalo Bills. Those teams have not, and the Dallas Cowboys. None of them made the NFC AFC Championship game in the past 25 years. It's embarrassing. And we all think of Dallas as this iconic sort of brand. Oh man, that team is the symbol of football, right? But they're not. They haven't been relevant in any way, shape, or form. And what does this have to do with ownership? It's a known fact, right? You have a good owner, a good GM, a good head coach, a good quarterback, you're pretty much set. You're going to win games. You're going to get to the destined land. You're going to have playoff aspirations. Your division leaders, division winners, that kind of stuff is going to happen because you're very well structured. You're very well organized. Then you have, Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady. It fits, right? Then you have, your teams like the Cleveland Browns, where Dorsey was just out of his mind. Head coach and Kitchens, who is that? Everything collapses. The structure has to be very well put together for you guys to get to where you need to be or where you want to be. And once that structure is met, you guys can start winning games. Dallas has, with the head coach that they got in Mike McCarthy, it was a safe bet, right? It's not, oh, he's gonna win me games because he's won a Super Bowl, which is Jerry's thinking. Jerry picked Mike McCarthy as a safe bet because he's very well known. Fans will like it, and we'll see where they go from there. In reality, you look at this, they're the worst defense ever, probably right now. Their offense can't click early enough in games, and you don't have any kind of structure with you. You're not even paying your quarterback. Do you know if Dak is the guy that you want? What I'm trying to say is Dallas is a mess, and Dallas doesn't even know what their identity is. I don't think that they're going to win this division. They're a team that is completely out of whack. Okay, for people to say Dak with Dak going down, Andy Dalton is not going to get him anywhere. Dak Prescott is a 500 quarterback. He's 29-24 with Dak. 40% of those wins coming against the Giants and the football team. Okay. And what the Eagles are now is also completely out of whack. The starters that they have injured is absurd. Okay. Miles Sanders, Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey, TJ Edwards, Avante Maddox, Marcus Epps, Zach Ertz. Those are pretty much all of their starters, all injured. They still made it a 2-point game against the Ravens. How do you do that? That's just Carson Wentz being Carson Wentz. And for whoever is saying that Wentz does not deserve to be in the league, that Wentz is not a good quarterback, out of your mind. He is buried with injuries all around him, and he's the only one that's surpassing that. Look, this NFC lease is up for absolute grabs. I like the Philadelphia Eagles winning this division. I'll take my chances with Philly. I like their structure just a little bit more. I also like Carson Wentz when everyone is injured around him, just like Andrew Luck when he has no one. They always figure out a way to go above and beyond and get you to that win. So that's the difference between the Eagles and the Cowboys. And that's why I think the Eagles will win the NFC least. And the last topic of discussion is the best always. That's the way we always do it. Number 10, here we go. Ready? We got the Arizona Cardinals. Like I said, they're indifferent in point differential. They do not turn the ball over. Hopkins has never dropped a pass. Fitz catches everything. Drake doesn't fumble. As long as Kyler is more accurate and he doesn't turn the ball over, this is going to be a very scary team. Number 9, the Seattle Seahawks. Their defense is the worst through 5 games in NFL history, but their MVP Russell Wilson will put them on the map and they'll leave them in the top 10. Number 8, the Buffalo Bills. I had them at number 3 last week. Big drop from my Super Bowl team. I'm not jumping off the bandwagon just yet. I'm going to relax a little bit. The 2 losses came to the 2 best teams in the AFC. Josh Allen has come back to earth a little bit. It looks like he's kind of hit his ceiling. Just be cautious, Buffalo. You'll be fine. Number 7, the Los Angeles Rams. Again, pumped the brakes on last year. They still finished above 500. They just missed the playoffs every season that McVay has had this Rams team. They've been a contender. They lost 2 games by 1 possession this year. They have a complete team. Be careful of the Los Angeles Rams. Number 6, I have the Green Bay Packers. They dropped off a lot from number 1 last week. Ugly loss. Everything just went out the window for me because that loss that I saw was the same Packers team that I saw lose to San Francisco last year in the playoffs. That same Packers team that lost to the Bucs was the same Packers team that I saw get blown out by the Chargers last year. They just look, when Aaron Rodgers is not winning in a game at any point of the game, his record is below 500. Be cautious of that. Once you get him down in a game, he does not know how to react. He gets very conservative. He doesn't throw the ball. He's very worried about his efficiency and stats. He won't throw it and take any more chances. That's what the Bucs did. Packers at number 6. It's also his 3rd pick 6 that Aaron Rodgers has in his career. Just happened the other night. Number 5, I got the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar has seemed to hit his ceiling of production in the NFL. Doesn't mean he's still not good. The guy is great. They're still going to win games. They're still 5-1. Not much more of a reason for them. Number 4, I guess I'm pretty much on the bandwagon now. I'm going to have to be after that win that they had. The Pittsburgh Steelers are number 4. They're 5-0. We'll see how they do on the next 3 games. All 3 are 3 straight road games. For the next 5 are road games. Let's see what you can prove. Number 3, I got the Kansas City Chiefs. Good bounce back game. It did exactly what they needed to do against the Buffalo Bills, against a really good team on the road in bad weather. That was very impressive by Patrick Mahomes and company. Number 2, yes, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 0 penalties. They just came ready to play against the Packers. They had no penalties against them. That's how you win games. Up until that, they were one of the most penalized teams in the league. Brady to Gronk, that kind of looked really familiar. They controlled the game. It looked beautiful to watch. That's the Tom Brady kind of team that we're used to seeing for the past 20 years. They look fantastic. Number 1, the Tennessee Titans. Until they prove me wrong, until they do something different, until they change the way they're playing, what reason do I have to not think that they're the best team in the league? They're top 15 in scoring, points per game, yards per game, rush yards per game, points against. They're top 15 in all major categories on the offense and on the defensive side of the ball. Prove me wrong and prove that you can find a better team than this. Until then, the Tennessee Titans are the best team in the league. That's good stuff. And that's the top 10. And that wraps it up, guys. Thank you for listening to, Too Many Men in the Huddle with Cheech. And like, subscribe, do what you got to do. Let me know how much of an idiot I am. Let me know if, you disagree with me. I love to hear all the comments in the comment section. And, do what you got to do, guys. Thank you.